My name is Rocky Collins.
My name is Mike Evans.
I'm from Houston, Texas.
My name is Brandon Brown.
I am from Detroit, Michigan.
My name is Jasmine Rockmore, and I am the producer of Transplant the Transformation.
My biggest struggle in LA was, I think, around the time I got that text message I was telling you about. Before that, I was very lost and I was very anxious. And anytime I'm very anxious, like I am not functional, I'm not right, like I'm all off balance. So I think that just me being so lost and me not trusting the process that God was putting me through, that was like the most difficult time for me. And plus, I was receiving them little $400 checks. Who was I going to do that, honestly? But thank God for Uber. I was able to make it out of that situation. But just being in that place where it's like, all right, I'm broke. It wasn't like, I didn't know I was going to be a producer. So it wasn't like, I'm sitting here going through this because I got a dream that I'm following after. Like, I literally didn't know what I was going to do.
So I think my greatest struggle in LA has to be losing my dad. And since it's like so recent, it's still kind of fresh. It's like kind of surreal. Like I just feel like, I'm still overcoming that struggle. But it's been like a emotional roller coaster because he was battling cancer for 3 years. And so for 3 years, I was dealing with having to go back and forth to see my dad and be able to like spend time with him and be there for him, but also stay afloat out here in LA because like my mom didn't want me to give up on my dreams, and it was just really hard because it's like it was hard because like I'm not in a place where I want to be as far as like my finances and stuff. Like I just feel like when it came to acting, I'm still trying to get to where I want to be as an actress. So it was just hard to really like be there for my dad, and it was hard to like I'm sorry. It was just really hard. Like it was just really hard to just it's just hard like when you're trying to balance out chasing your dreams and then you have like a sick relative, but not even just a sick relative, like somebody that's close to you. Like that's my dad. Like I'm like, what should I do? I didn't even know how to go about it. Like, should I give up my dreams and just come back and do it later? Like, should I resume it? Like, I just really didn't know. So it was very challenging, and I battled with like depression, just going back and forth, just like on what I should do. It was a lot of regret. And I'm just grateful that he's not in pain anymore, but it's still hard because it's just like, it's just hard because he's not here. And I know that like I was in the beginning of my acting career when he was around and he didn't really see much fruit, but I know it's coming and I know that I'm about to make it big, and I just wish he was here physically to experience it with me. Like I wanted to be able to take care of my parents like how they took care of me. So that's like my biggest struggle.
The hardest thing I went through out here is probably dealing with other people. In my line of work, you can literally walk into a rehearsal sometimes and see, I can't even say any names. You can literally walk into a rehearsal and see like a celebrity that you grew up listening to their music. It was just like, I remember being in middle school and listening to, like Nelly and, like other artists and stuff like that. And just walking into an environment like that and then seeing how quickly your friends can change, how fast their personalities can change, and just dealing with just shifty people. I think my biggest thing that I've had to deal with here in Los Angeles is just dealing with shifty people. Los Angeles has a huge roommate culture because it's expensive to live out here. So you're gonna have 3 guys in a 2-bedroom, and maybe 2 of the guys in this living situation are a bit more financially stable than the 3rd guy. And the 3rd guy might not necessarily always be the guy in the living room. It could be the guy in the master bedroom who's always late on rent, always, it's always an excuse. And the personal development comes with situations like that. So it's one thing to be like, yeah, I live in LA, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you get the chance to see, how people are. There's a saying, you never really know anyone until you, can I cuss or?
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's a saying, you never really know anyone until you fuck them or until you live with them. Now, I've never had sex with any of my roommates, but I see certain characteristic traits in humans in general. It's not a white thing, it's not a black thing. And I think my biggest thing is just learning how to deal with certain people. Some people, I've had situations where, with roommates, and they're just like, yo, look, I'm gonna be $100 short on rent, but I got you Thursday. And Thursday comes, and I got $100. It's very, very upfront, very honest, boom, boom. Whereas with the other roommate is just like, yo, I'm also gonna be $100 short, and I got you Thursday. Cool. Thursday comes, he's nowhere to be found.
So the most humbling experience I've had being in LA so far is taking the train and the bus. So when I first got here, I didn't have a car because I gave it up. I gave up my car because I had a note. I couldn't do that anymore, especially being here. And so it was just very hard. I had never taken it. In Detroit, you don't want to take the bus. And same here, it's not like something that I was ever like, I knew I had to do it, but I'm just like, after a while, I'm like, wow, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to make it. It was so humbling because I just, like I said, everything that I was used to, just stripped, like hopping in a car was a pleasure. I took it as just something that was so basic, but when I was taking the train, I'm like, wow, to hop in a car and drive it. I was looking back like, dang, I used to really like drive. It just, it was like 3 months where I didn't have a car, I started getting so used to it. I'm like, geez, I would see people get in their car and I'm like, dang, like this is real. And asking for rides or Lyft and Uber, so much money. I spent so much money on Lyfts and just trying to get places, trying to meet up people. It was so hard. And that was very humbling for me. I was literally at a breaking point where I'm like, God, I don't know if I can do this. But God worked it out.
When I first moved to LA, I was here a good 6 months. And I was like, okay, well, I got a manager, I got an agent now. I'm doing it, and I only been here 6 months. And I got an audition for Young and Hungry. And they were looking for the best friend to the lead character. Audition, went in for the first audition, got a call back. Went in for the call back, then got sent in for the producer audition. Went in for the producer audition, then got sent to the network. So now by this time, the contract's already drawn. They done already quoted me how much they gonna pay me. Like, this is like legit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this actually happened. And it's between me and the girl from Pitch is Perfect, black girl with the short hair from Pitch is Perfect, and then one other girl. And it was us 3 like battling it out for that role. And I went in for the audition with the network, reading with the lead girl. And it was cool, it was nerve-wracking. It felt like it was like 8 to 10 people in the room, and you had to literally put on your best show for this character. And then I left and I was like, okay, I think I did good. I signed the contract, they paying me this much, this is gonna be good. And then my manager called me that evening and they was like, oh, they decided to completely rewrite your part. the part that you were going up for, none of the girls got it. They're going in a completely different direction. And I was like, but I literally just poured my heart out like 5,000 times for you guys, and it still wasn't enough. Like, y'all completely nixed all of us. Y'all didn't want any of us. Y'all just rewrote the entire part. And I think that was the most humbling for me. I was hurt. I mean, I walked up and down my neighborhood like, what did they not see? Like, I gave them everything that character wanted. And it just, in that moment, I felt like I wasn't enough. And I learned, like, I've learned since I've been here for like 3 years and a half now, that it's not necessarily what you did wrong in the room. It's just probably something that the network, image-wise, was going for that character. And it's not that you aren't enough, because you bring a lot to the room. It's just they decided to go in a different direction. And that was hard for me to get around. Like, the hardest thing in LA to get over is morale. Like, you gotta constantly tell yourself, like, you were good. That was fine. You know, you can do this in good timing. You gotta constantly tell yourself that, because if not, you'll sit in the room like depressed. And I've had moments where I've been like, for like a week, just in my room, just like, God, you told me this was my season. Like, what's going on? Like, hurt, like crying my heart out, like not knowing exactly what's like the next move, because I'm sitting there waiting for another audition, because that one didn't come through.
So the last struggle that I went through in LA, okay, so I lived in Texas, so I was in LA for maybe 2 years by this point, and it was raining, and I got pulled over by the cops, and he was like, hey, your registration is expired. I was like, oh, I know, I'm gonna take care of it. He was like, cool, take care of it, take your ticket, I'm gonna take your car. You have to Uber to wherever you wanna go, right? So he took my car, I'm standing in the rain, gotta find an Uber. I had a gig that night, so I couldn't even like sit in the moment. So I had to like take all my money, get my car out the impound, get my car registered. And it was just a lot. And I was moving into a new house all in the same week. Like, it was just, the timing was terrible. But yeah, like that moment, I was like, I'm good on this. Like, I'm ready to go back home. But I'm still here, you know.
So the most humbling experience that I've had out here, this actually was last year, 2017. I'll never forget it, because like it was the year I lost my job. Like, I was working at a Fortune 500 company, like making money. So I kind of took that for granted, and I let that, oh, struggling artist, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. Like, it can get that bad. Like, I didn't appreciate my job, for one, because like at that time where I was kind of like, you know, really getting into music, I started kind of not doing what I was supposed to do at work, which caused me to lose my job. So I was staying with my writing partner, and things got crazy with the rent, because she, oddly enough, lost her job too around the same time. So we both like, all right, what we about to do? Like, I had money saved up, but it was like, after a while, it started dwindling down. Like, you got money saved up and you don't got nothing coming in, and you spend it, then you be like, okay, this is something got to change or whatever. But I guess I would say I wasn't really taking initiative when I was supposed to, which caused us, like, we lost the house. We were literally homeless. Like, that first day we had to leave, or the first day the lease was up, so we had to leave. And we drove 5 hours to Oakland to my writing partner's best friend's house. And at the time I was interviewing, or I was like filling out applications and stuff like that. And Fashion Nova had a open position for a senior instructional designer. So I was like, bet, okay, this might be clutch. So we drove to Oakland for 5 hours, and they called me the next day, and they were like, can you come in for an interview tomorrow? I'm like, damn, we so far, but I need this job, so we gotta go back.
My most humbling moment in LA
My most humbling moment had to be recently when Rebel wasn't picked up for a second season. So I think that, just being completely transparent, like, I think that was my most difficult and humbling moment here, because you get so excited about getting, you know, an opportunity, especially as a Black woman, to be able to lead a series, and then you know, politics happens, whatever happens, and you don't end up getting another season, and then you're back to auditioning like everybody else, and, you know, trying to figure out when your next job is going to come. And you really have to keep your ego in check, because it's easy for your ego to be like, oh, well, you know, you're a failure, because, you know, you're like, oh, you thought you was on, but you ain't, you know what I mean? So I think the last year has been a very humbling, you know, experience for me, and just trying to like trust God, and, you know, believe that the plans that He has for me are good, and that they're gonna come to fruition, and that, you know, Rebel was just the beginning and not the end, you know. But that's something that I have to continue to, you know, tell myself, and, you know, ask God to keep me in a place of seeing things in a positive perspective and in a clear perspective, so I don't get caught up in like, oh, why didn't this happen, or why didn't that happen, you know.